So today's topic is about mind control, the necessity to control our mind. So here people are just blowing up cars, burning everything, looting stores. This is the America, which is the world's richest country, now looking like a third world country like Somalia. This is one other scene in New York. People are taking shopping carts and blasting on the cars and breaking it. This is one other scene from Minneapolis. I've been to Minneapolis before. It's like a many pharma companies are there, and I never expected to see this. Again, lack of mind control. Here, people are voluntarily falling on the ground saying, arrest us, because anyhow, we are going to get arrested. So they're voluntarily falling on the ground. And here, people are protesting the police, don't do this to us. Entire post office. So whatever happened to the mail, everything's burnt now. And here, entire buildings are being burnt in Minneapolis. Tear gas. So people are using milk to clean the tear gas. Actually, I didn't get these pictures from American websites. These are all from BBC. Because American websites, my friend was telling that they have 6 algorithms, artificial intelligent algorithms. So if you are pro-Trump, all pro-Trump news will be given to you. If you are anti-Trump, all anti-Trump news will be given to you. They are using artificial intelligence algorithms. So you cannot trust American news anymore, because they will tell you what you want to hear. If you are pro-Trump, right? Everything is pro-Trump, the news. They have 6 different news. For every news item, they have 6 different news. So that's why I went to BBC to get some authentic news. So here is one other protestation. So
not an overreaction to something that happened.
Yeah, it is an overreaction, but mind is unbridled, right? Unbridled means our mind is not under control. When people's mind is not under control, they will do whatever comes to their mind. And also with high level of unemployment, a lot of people have spare time. That is why it is the duty of the king to provide employment. In the traditional Vedic society, employment is the responsibility of the king. And during times of famine, the king would open his bandar, the storehouse of all the food, and feed people. Now there is no concept of king. So there is everybody's unto themselves, right? The Wild West mentality. So what are you going to do? You cannot do much. So people are taking to the streets. Anyhow, I don't have a job. Corona is likely to kill me. Might as well go and fight something for some cause on the streets. And there are multiple things, right? Like some people are actually fighting for the cause. Some people are using this opportunity to loot the stores. Already $1 billion loss in economy. Like very high-end stores have been looted. Like people have stolen $1,000 suits and things like that. So yeah, so don't think middle world is a great place or America is a great place, right? If push comes to shove, people are people. It will be the same thing, whether it's Palestine or United States. Okay, so that was the problem, and now here is the solution. This is study of the mind. People are bewildered and are looking for answers. But today, when I sent out Bhagavad Gita class, I got 6 declines. So people have nothing to do because Corona, but still they don't want to hear, which means people have become so stupid that if somebody is giving them good advice, they are not willing to take it also, right? Regardless of whether it's Bhagavad Gita or Bible or whatever, right? If somebody is giving you good advice, should they not take it? No. So people want to go to hell. So how can you stop people from going to hell? So, we already created hell right now. Hell is right here in Seattle, in New York City, Minneapolis, Dallas, LA. LA, they were tweeting, the college kids were tweeting. College kids also joined this rioting and they are breaking things up. So people are bewildered, confused. There was a survey done in United Kingdom where they said, any of your friend crazy? 71% said yes. Are you crazy? 61% said yes. Any of your family member crazy? 55% people said yes. If you do it at a weighted average means 33% weight to each one of them, the average comes to roughly like 62 or 63%. So we are living in a world where 62% of the people are crazy. They themselves are acknowledging it. What can you think? I mean, what can you say? So there is this organization called mind.org in UK, where they're giving psychological coping strategies, how to build social capital, right? So you have to join a group and give back. If you don't give back, people are ready to lynch each other and kill each other. That's the modern world, the so-called great modern world. So this thing, social capital at the bottom and give. So I am teaching this class to build that social capital so that people can benefit a little bit so that they don't go to hell. At least the 4 people on the class today, 4 or 5 people. And then you can teach other people also. So is a University of Washington class, how we go through decision-making process, evaluating option, consequences, probabilities, and value system. See, the value system is the problem here, right? In the Eastern value system, what is taught that you have to be subordinate to the superior and do what is right for the world. And the remaining value systems are do whatever comes to your mind. Freedom, too much freedom. So it's bound to happen. So usually there are some biases when we make decisions like short-sightedness, impulsiveness, neglect of probability, my side bias, and single-mindedness. I decided this and I'll go for it. And so Maya, which is also an energy of Krishna, will show you Sinma. What is Sinma? Short-sightedness, impulsiveness. This is like an acronym. So we have these biases and we think that we can make decisions very clearly. Better we don't make decisions using our mind. Better take decisions from scriptures. Scriptures will say, do this, don't do this. And if you follow them, you will have a decently long life and then you will not be born as a donkey or a dog in your next life. Otherwise, that is guaranteed in your next life to be born as a lesser than human. Because if you don't behave like human, nature will take away that privilege. Yeah, I'll skip this one. Yeah, subconscious mind. How do you communicate? You eliminate fear. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. Then you set goals. Then you reinforce those goals with faith and love. So even scientists are saying auto-suggestion, this mantra, chanting mantras is actually good for our mind. Our conscious mind only does 10% of the work, analyzing, thinking, planning. Subconscious mind does all the remaining work, including number 7, spiritual connection, and number 8, which is intuition. So now they are doing VR, virtual reality, to do escapism. So during surgeries, so that people forget pain, they're escaping to a different location. That's okay during surgery, but if you do that during normal time, it's a problem. So this is a very important chart by Dr. Hawkins, who says that to love is a decision that you have to make. Love is not automatic. You have to want to love somebody. Love God or love your neighbor, whatever the case might be. Under the water, you have all these negative thoughts. And at the top, even scientists are giving a scale of 700 to enlightenment. The scale may not be correct because this is a subjective thing, but basically this whole enlightenment thing is the highest on the scale, followed by peace, joy, love, blah, 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 coming down to pride above the water and anger below the water. Anger is a subliminal thought. It starts below. Okay, Gayatri, read this.
The lower levels of consciousness include shame, guilt or hate, apathy, grief, and fear. These levels are dominated by the ego and our drive to protect ourselves from harm. Anxiety and depression can become dominant as we hyper focus on these emotion state. These levels are the most painful that we experience. And it is the pain that these levels create that drives in our desire for understanding and personal growth. Dr. Hawkins describes these lower levels of consciousness as ego dominated. They also align with our low chakra system, root, sacral, solar plexus. Individuals that resonate with those lower vibrational frequencies generally are processing information directly from amygdala, so emotional response is triggered before planning, reason, and cognition.
Yeah, so you need some emotional response before you can plan, reason, and remember. We say recognition. To recognize something, first you need to have cognition, and then recognition will follow after that. Continue.
The waterline represents the decision to love. Anger is a turning point. Anger is our body's way of telling us something is wrong. If we're feeling a desire and neediness for someone and they are not meeting our expectations, we can feel anger. Anger is telling you that the relationship represents a misalignment from that inner self you know to be the true you. Now, as you move up the scale of the pride, further evaluation as to who you are and what your values takes place. You can then be outrageous, think neutrally outside of those thinking traps into a place of willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, and peace. Enlightenment is the final step that with inner self work can be achieved.
Yeah, so we need to work our way up. It is not automatic. We have to put in the effort. Okay, continue.
Freud argued that ego is the
Sigmund Freud is a famous psychologist.
Mhm. Freud argued that ego is a portion of a person's psychology that handles the demands of the external world. The ego negotiates the demands of the id and the superego. In psychoanalytic theory, the id represents the basic base desires and instincts, while the superego serves as a perfectionist conscience. The ego mediates between these two influences. According to Freud, the ego develops as a child matures and becomes aware of their individuality and separates from their parents. There are many definitions of the ego, but to put it simply, it's your senses of personal identity or feelings of self importance. It helps you to identify your uniqueness, to stand up to yourself and to put plans into action. Your ego impacts your decisions. Can you recall the last time you have done or said something that had negative consequences? This may have been your ego at play. As you can become more aware of those negative emotion states represented above, you will then develop control of your ego. As a reminder, you will face challenges, but the stronger your inner light, the more efficiently you will work through them with optimism. You are more than your body, that of which will be gone in decades. You are part of an interconnected universe that exists because of coexisting energies. We are made of an energy and thereby can influence energy.
Yeah. So our body will be gone in decades. Even scientists are saying the same thing, right? It's not like uh, body will stay forever. Then who are we? We are part of an interconnected universe that exists because of coexisting energies. So here's the scientist's confession. Venkatesh, please read this.
We do not yet understand enough about consciousness to say what kinds of concepts are minimally required for those higher order mental states implied by consciousness. Moreover, the theory of mind research in infancy, where the first mental concept acquired is still in its beginning. Because of the importance of this topic, progress on investigating the earliest theory of mind development holds great promise.
This is a psychology article. They are saying that we don't understand enough about consciousness. So even psychologists don't fully know. It's a confession. So now the spiritual basis. based on studies by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and his disciple Suhotra Swami. Suhotra Swami is no longer on the planet, he left, but his teachings are with us. Okay, continue, Venkatesh.
The soul's innermost nature is to be the jnani or knower of the absolute truth. This is what psychology is really about. Psyche, a Greek word, means soul, and logi means knowledge of. Real philosophy reveals that the knowledge that the soul needs to have in order to be what he really is, a pure eternal servant of the Supreme Soul, Sri Krishna.
Yeah, so you said real philosophy, but it's real psychology. Psyche means soul, logi means knowledge, which means knowledge of the soul. Normally, people psychology will say, my brother is beating me, or my wife is beating me, and then they go to psychologist and cry a little bit. Psychologist charge $250 and give some, touchy-feely type advice. That is not psychology. Psychology means understanding the soul means psychology, according to the Greek word. So now you realize how far modern society or modern philosophy has messed up things. They are totally confusing things, actually. Psychology means science of the soul. Continue.
A conflict between two persons usually means that one wishes to remember something that happened between them, while the other wishes to forget it. Even a single individual can be torn by opposition between one another. This is called mental conflict. One part of us wants to remember something, another part wants to forget it. According to the Western disciplines of psychiatry and abnormal psychology, the condition of neurosis, which includes anxiety states, obsessions, and hysteria, is all about mental conflict.
Yeah. So basically, what is conflict? Opposition between two individuals, right? So that is the abnormal psychology. Okay, Karthik, please read this.
Prayers of Sri Prahlada Maharaja. Tvam Vayur Agnir Avanir Vyad Ambu Matra Pranendriyani Hridayam Siddh Anugraha Cha Sarvam Tvam Eva Saguno Viguna Cha Bhuman Nanya Tvad Asti Api Mano Vakacha Niruktam.
Vachasa, Mano Vachasa. Vacha means speech.
O Supreme Lord, you are actually the air, the earth, fire, sky, and water. You are the objects of sense perception, the life airs, the five senses, the mind, consciousness, false ego. Indeed, you are everything, subtle and gross. The material elements and anything expressed either by words or by the mind are nothing but you.
Yeah, that is called subtle. S-U-B-T-L-E, subtle. Like, your boss may give you a hint, but he will not directly tell you. That is called subtle. So what is the meaning of this? Karthik, what is your understanding of this?
So he's saying that everything is nothing but the Supreme Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it is either
a word or the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is why the title is, are the mind and sense objects real? So everything ultimately is an expansion of the Lord. So they are real, but at the same time, if you understand the Lord, you understand these things. Right now, we have the mind divorced from the Lord, and therefore people cannot understand this. I mean, I'm even surprised all of you are able to sit in this class and trying to understand this. The majority of the people on this planet cannot even sit and understand, right? They don't have the capacity to go forward. Okay, Chandar.
In lower order of relationship with Krishna and his energy, we ask, what am I and what is mine? What is mine and what is yours? What is mine and what is matter? What is true and what is false? What is good and what is evil? What is bondage and what is liberation? This is Dvandva Moha, the illusion of duality.
Yeah, so Krishna says Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, that in this material world everything is duality. Dua in Sanskrit means two, and in Hindi it is called do, right? And in some Spanish also they have uno, dos, tres. So dua, that is the origin of all these languages, Spanish, English, Hindi. So dvanda means everything in this world has two elements to it. What are those two elements? Happiness, distress, honor, dishonor. So they're always dragging us between these two extremes. So a sthita dhira, or somebody who is neutral, doesn't get vacillated between these two extremes. Vacillation means just swinging between the two. So Krishna's advice to a large degree in Bhagavad Gita is just to be neutral. Whatever happens, be neutral. Right? Not go and burn trucks or this or that. You know, of course, it is the responsibility of the government to maintain law and order, and some people are not, discriminated against or whatever. But it's not an individual's responsibility to take law into their hands and do whatever is going on right now. Right? So we have to be neutral in a lot of these things, tolerate what is going on. Then people think this is mine, this is yours. And then people are fighting for land, people are fighting for property, for material things, and ignoring the real thing. The real thing is that we are a spirit soul and we need to get liberated. And if they ignore that real thing, then what you are seeing in the world, it will continue. This is just the beginning. As Kali Yuga progresses, you will see more fun. More fun is in store for all of us, unless we take shelter of the Supreme. And what will happen? We will suffer and we'll take birth again in more disturbing situations. Right now, at least in your home, you can sit and attend Bhagavad Gita. If you take birth again after, say, 1500 years, even to sit for 1 hour to listen to Bhagavad Gita will become a luxury. Maybe there'll be no machine gun fire outside your home. You have to address that. You have to protect your family from attacks. So many things will come. So it's better, while everything is still relatively nice, not everything is broken right now, to take shelter of the Lord and get liberated. Otherwise, we'll suffer later. Okay, Chandra, continue.
Material objects are existing prominently within the material mind. When materialism is renounced, the mind, senses, and their objects are at last understood to be different from the true self. A person who has thus achieved me by understanding that he is not different from me, said Lord Hamsa Avatara, realizes that the material mind is lodged within the sense objects because of constant sense gratification, and that the material objects are existing prominently within the material mind. Having understood by transcendental nature, he gives up both the material mind and its object.
Yeah. So what is the mind doing? It is saying, I want objects. That is called sense gratification. I is saying, I want to watch a TV show or a movie. Ear is saying, I want to listen to some rock music. So all these senses are constantly, agitating you. Agitation means disturbing you. And if you look at it, a lot of people are now taking pleasure with whatever is going on around the world. Oh, today 46 cars got burnt. They're taking pleasure. Right? So this is also a form of sense gratification. So we have to dislodge, means deconnect your mind with the sense objects. That's what yogis do. They say, rich or poor, how does it matter to me? Expensive or cheap stuff, how does it matter to me? In this way, they are very, very peaceful. So we have to become a yogi. How do you become a yogi? First, we have to purify ourselves. That is the process of chanting Hare Krishna mantra. When we purify, this subject matter makes sense. You're all somewhat purified. That's why you are able to sit and listen to this class. Somebody whose mind is agitated, they cannot even listen. They'll say, this is pretty boring. Yesterday, somebody came to my class. 10 minutes they were on the call and then they dropped off. Means it's not registering in their mind. It is too difficult for them to even beyond 10 minutes sit and listen to some higher advice. Right? So you have to congratulate yourself that at least you're able to sit for 1 hour and listen to this class. Okay, Chandra.
Perverted spiritual
Rasa.
rasas relationships bring frustration. One should understand through the transparent medium of the spiritual master that the Supreme Lord exists everywhere in his transcendental spiritual nature, and that the living entities' relationships with the Lord are directly and indirectly existing everywhere, even in this material world. In the spiritual world, there are 5 kinds of relationships with the Supreme Lord: Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. These 5 relationships in the material world are distorted reflections of the original pure sentiments, which should be understood and perfected in relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. In the material world, the perverted rasas bring frustration. If these rasas are re-established with Lord Krishna, the result is eternal blissful life.
Yeah. So in the spiritual life, we had these 5 rasas, Santa, Dasya, etc. Now they become perverted. Perverted means, in plain English, messed up. They lost their original shape. So when they lost their original shape, we are behaving very materially. They bring us frustration. Array, I've had a good career, but suddenly COVID came, everything destroyed, like that. Because these rasas are different right now. So how these are different in the spiritual world? We can relate to God in neutrality, Santa, or become a servant, Dasya, becoming a friend, Sakya, become a parent, Vatsalya, or become a conjugal lover, Madhurya. But instead, we are saying, oh, let's buy more land, more home, more furniture. We all do, right? We keep on ordering stuff from Amazon. Why? Because that neutrality in spiritual world has transferred into buy more stuff. I'll be happy. But people who have more stuff, are they happy? Like Warren Buffett has 10,000 homes, in case you didn't know. In the last crash in 2009 or 2010, he bought 10,000 homes. One of my realtor friend was telling me that. So as a consequence, we want more land, more houses. But have you ever seen Warren Buffett being happy? He looks like half dead. His hair is extremely gray. He's 80 years old. Pretty much waiting to die. That's it. Regardless of whether he has $160 billion or $180 billion, he's just waiting to die. That's it. So those things don't get you happiness. I mean, initially, if you're on the street and living in a cardboard box and you have a house, your happiness jumps. After that, it will remain constant. So we were servant of God, but we decided to rebel against God, right? If you want to know what rebellion is, see some of the Wild West movies by Clint Eastwood on YouTube. Everybody's a rebel. They will have guns and they'll shoot each other. And there's some music is going on in the background. They're taking horses. So we are all rebels like that. We were servant of God, but we said, we don't want to serve you, my Lord. And therefore we come here and then we want servants to serve us. And then after a while, servants don't work for us also. Then we invented washing machines because when I was young, people used to come to our home and wash clothes. Now in America, you have to give your entire salary if you want somebody to come and wash your clothes. So either you wash by hand or you invent a machine. So that's what we have done. So why? That gives us the tendency where we feel we are the master. That is actually a bad thing for you, to feel that you are the master. We should always think I am a servant of God. Right? Like when you join the army, they say yours in service. The signature panel says yours in service. Because army is not a master. They are serving the population. Then friendship. Normally you do some friendship here. Can you review my resume? I'm applying for company tomorrow. But that friendship is very tactical friendship. Original friendship was with Krishna in the spiritual world. And then we feel that this societal friendship will save us actually. They cannot save themselves. What will they save you? Then parental, Vatsalya. The affection of parent for a child. So we were thinking of Krishna as our own child in the spiritual world. And then we decided to rebel. We came here. Now we want to have our own kids so that we can give some fatherly love. But then after they are 16 or 17 years old, they don't care about you. Right? And we may think, oh, in the old days, they'll take care of us. Are you taking care of your parents? Your parents are in India, you are here. So don't think your kids will take care of you. Guaranteed they won't. So this is how world is, right? And then Madhurya. We were, in spiritual world, all of us are female. Only Krishna is male. But when we come to material world, some of us are male, some of us are female. And some of us are somewhere in between. You see all kinds of people in the world, right? Heterosexuals, homosexuals, gay, lesbian, all this nonsense is going on. So we have to revive that original love of Krishna as our husband. Krishna is our actually husband, Bharta. Bharta means he's our husband. Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaram. Parmetni Chapyukto Deharshi Bharta Sabha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So in the material world, to compensate for that, we feel like we should have more sex and compete with Krishna. Actually, that's why yogis have less sex. And then there comes a point where they have zero sex. Then they are called a yogi. Because more sex will perpetuate your presence in the material world. You'll think, oh, this seems to be not so bad. Originally, Krishna was our husband in spiritual world. And instead, we are creating our own husbands and wives and somewhere in between here. And more sex. And we are thinking it is okay, life is okay in the material world. But we don't belong here actually. So as we reduce the amount of sex we have, our spiritual progress grows. Okay, any questions on this one? This is a very important, slide. How spiritual souls came to material world. Okay, Chandar, continue.
Psychology is the study of mind's movements. The mind is a real thing because it is the energy of the super soul. Thus, on the energetic level, our mental activities like thinking, imagination, visualization, concentration, and so forth are real movements. They are real movements that unfold as per a complex pattern. And why so complex? Why does the study of the mind's movements, the study we know by the word psychology, become so mysterious and convoluted? That's because the mind moves according to our desires. It is our desires, meaning in our present state, our material attraction, that complicates our mental processes.
So our attraction to matter is the root of our, undoing. So we were spirit souls, we got attracted to matter, and we are struggling here in the material world. And this struggle will continue unless we come to the point saying that I'm sick and tired of this, I want something higher. Right? And there are people like that. I mean, I was not like this, say, 17 years ago, right? I had no idea about spirituality. But then I came in contact with these various acharyas from the organization called ISKCON, and also from Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, and from the various paramparas. I have traveled extensively across the world to many, many temples. Like I've been to Swaminarayan temples, I've been to the Catholic Church, Vatican City in Europe. I've been to Amritsar, the Golden Temple. I've been to Dalai Lama's place in Himalayas. So my conclusion is that there is something higher. Yeah, I know you cannot travel that much, but you take my word for it. There is something higher. If you think that life is only about going to office, buying some stuff in Walmart or Costco or BJ's or whatever your local store is, Sam's Club, and just eating and sleeping, then you are mistaken. Life is something beyond that. What is the difference between animals and humans? Anybody know?
Makes sense.
Humans have that extra knowledge, Nyan.
Yeah, I want more basic answer.
We have our own senses to think, actually.
No, they also have senses, but they cannot think. Yeah, you can think. They can think a little bit, but you can think a lot. They can only think about food.
We can reach God and they cannot reach.
Yeah, that's another important aspect. What else?
They have to obey the master's orders, even if it's wrong.
Yes.
But we have our own capacity to say something is wrong in this world. It's wrong.
Yeah, they don't have sense of discrimination. They cannot discriminate between two choices. Animals do 4 things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Humans also do these 4 things. But we do one thing extra. We have the concept of dharma. But if we don't have dharma, then we are no better than an animal. So right now you have a lot of 2-legged animals roaming this planet because they're behaving like animals. They say, oh, God give us our daily bread, like in Bible, right? Well, your goal is not to eat bread. Your goal is to think about why I'm here. Why am I worried about my bread? Let me go from here to the spiritual world. So different levels. So ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha samanyetad mad pashubir naranam. Pashu and nara have same concept. What is special about human? Dharmo hi eko adhika vishesha. Adhika vishesh, special quality is dharma. Dharmahina pashubir samanam. Without dharma, we are no better than an animal. So let's not be like an animal. Let's be like a human, right? Otherwise, we will waste our valuable life. And next time, if you are not becoming human, then you cannot attend Bhagavad Gita class. You cannot think of liberation. So use it or lose it. Just like your annual budget in office. Okay. Who hasn't read yet? Okay, Rajalakshmi.
Mind controls matter. Desire controls mind. Yes, you can control matter with your mind. In fact, this is happening constantly. But what controls your mind? Desire. To wrest the mind from the control of desire is not easy. Actually, it is impossible. The only option we have is a choice as to whether our mind shall be controlled by material or spiritual desire. But more about that later. Repeatedly, we find ourselves girding up for a final battle with our desires. The aim being to defeat desire once and for all and to be free of it at last. This is very daunting to say the least.
Yeah. So you can control matter with mind, right? There are people who will concentrate on something on the table and actually elevate that thing. The thing will start rising. There are people who can concentrate on something and create fire on one object. You can control matter through mind. And there are yogis who can lift big, big objects using their mind. Like Hanuman is a yogi, right? So when there are various stories, but basically Hanuman is lying down on a path, and then one other person comes in and says, okay, hey monkey, why don't you vacate this path? And the Hanuman says, okay, I'm too tired, can you lift my tail and put it aside? And the person tries and they cannot do it because he made his body very heavy. So yogis can make their body very heavy, or they can make it very light. So you can control matter. But the problem,
Desire once and for all means is that we should not have desire to all the desires totally, but we can enjoy the material things. Is it that way? Or
no,
whatever we have we can enjoy, but we should just not have desires. Is
no, it's
that
not like that. Whatever is given to you as a part of your natural karma, you just live in it. You just don't over endeavor. Over
okay?
means like beyond your capacity, you are trying to move matter. That is unnecessary. But according to your past karma, you'll be given certain things in your life. You just don't even call it enjoy. You just use those facilities so that you can be liberated. Right. So if you are so poor, you are living in a hut, and there's no food, you only eat once a day, then you have to endeavor something to keep your body and soul together. But I don't think you are in that bad state. Whatever facility you have, use that facility to reach the supreme. Right?
Yeah. Thank you.
But most people, what do? They buy second house, third house, fourth house. So that is called over endeavoring. I know in Seattle Temple, one person has 6 houses. It's foolishness, actually. What will you do with 6 houses? I mean, the person is already like in his mid 40s, and another 15 years, chapter close. And you think, oh, I'll save this money for my kids. But kids don't care either. Right? Kids will go somewhere else and they'll start earning their own money. So it's like that. So, over endeavoring will cause definitely too much stress on your mind. Endeavor is good. Over endeavor is not good. Endeavor means you're taking some efforts. Okay, continue, Raj Lakshmi.
Invisible enemy, karma. But before we enter the fight, we must know that our desires constitute an extremely powerful and mostly invisible army called karma, lust, that has captured our senses, mind, and intelligence. This is made clear in Bhagavad Gita 3.40. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the mind is the reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And therefore, lust infiltrates the senses and the intelligence from the mind.
Yeah. So this enemy is called lust. Right? So first, before you fight, you need to know who is the enemy. The enemy is lust. Lust captures your mind, manasu, intelligence, buddhi, and false ego, which is actually senses also. Yeah, senses, which is indriya. So senses, intelligence, and mind. Lust conquers.
Actually, karma is actually a substitute of desires. It's a superstitute of desires, right? Desires come as below karma, or it's a part of karma, right? Desires.
Actually, kama is a Sanskrit word for desire.
But it says it's an invisible army called karma, means like it's a part of karma. Like karma means it can include everything, right? Not desires, it can even include sex and everything also.
Right. Yeah, in a way. That is like, splitting hairs. Kama in general is like an army, right? It has many desires. It can deploy many soldiers. But it's an invisible army. You'll not see where Kama is. It is hiding a little bit in eyes, in ears, in nose, in tongue, in touch, and it is in your mind, and it's also in your buddhi. And that is saying, it's okay, Baba, you can stay here in the material world. It's okay, it's not such a big deal, like that. It is giving you wrong information. So first you have to find this enemy and eliminate that fellow. And each one of us has to do it for ourselves. Nobody can do it for us. Okay, Venkatesh, can you read this? You're on mute. Venkatesh? Okay, so maybe, let's see. Chandar, again, back to you.
Sure. Why troubled by this nonsense? Just like in the water, in a pond, sometimes you will find all of a sudden one bubble comes from within. But that means the dirty things are within stocked. The surface of the pond is the surface awareness of the mind. The bubble that rises from the bottom of the pond is a desire. Suddenly, Pat, that there it is, a filthy desire breaking into our sublime thoughts. Why? We ask ourselves, why am I again troubled by this nonsense which I thought after so many years of chanting Hare Krishna, I had rid myself of?
Yes.
Quotation from 1974 Srimad Bhagavatam lecture by Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, so initially we say chant Hare Krishna, everything will be cleared from your mind. But even after 10, 15 years, suddenly you'll get a bad thought. Why? Because this thing is stocked up inside. So there is a storehouse within the mind. So one by one, these desires will start coming up. So mind is very difficult to understand, actually. Western scientists say it is just like brain. No. The concept of brain is bunch of neurons firing with each other that you can simulate using neural networks. That's what they are doing very successfully, actually. But mind is not brain. Mind is something below the brain. So which they are unable to figure out how to replicate it. Because in a artificial neural network, you will not have any spontaneously thoughts coming out. Whatever you program will come out. It will not think for itself. No. And even when they say it is thinking for itself, that is also pre-programmed only. But here, these desires are coming randomly, which is not an easy thing to digest, actually. That's why, although they can replicate the activities that you do, like getting up, going to office, driving a car, all those can be replicated by machines. But your internal emotions and desires cannot be replicated. And our goal is to actually get rid of those internal desires, because desire is the root of all misery, as Gautam Buddha says. All misery comes from desire. So we have to get rid of desire. Otherwise, we'll take birth again. I mean, that's what we are here. Last life also we had desires and we have taken birth now. And if we have more desires this lifetime, we'll take birth again next lifetime. So we have to come to the root cause. Like Six Sigma analysis, they say, do root cause. So we are coming to the root of desire. Okay, Chandra?
Mind is capable of introducing lusty forms into our consciousness. This rising of desire bubbles, this unexpected bursting of the subconscious into your surface awareness, demonstrates that your mind is capable of reproducing any type of sensual impression you have ever experienced. It can even manufacture impressions you have never before experienced as long as they are constructed out of known elements. We find in Srila Prabhupada's books the example of the mind combining the known elements of golden mountain to create an impression of a golden mountain. Thus, the mind is a most formidable television into the storehouse of subconscious desires. By the power of mind, you may see, hear, taste, smell, and feel things that are not directly present before the senses. Yes, sadhakas, we control our external sensory impressions. For example, we do not permit our eyes to see forms that stimulate lust. But the mind is capable of introducing such forms into our consciousness even without the help of the eyes.
Yeah. So mind is so powerful, it can create images even if you are not seeing. Okay. And end of first paragraph, first bullet. It can even manufacture impressions you have never before experienced. For example, you look at your wife's gold necklace.
By way of imagination. Right.
Yeah. And then you see a mountain, some mountain in Tennessee, Chattanooga. You have gone and seen some mountains. What it's doing, it is taking the gold and painting the mountain. Then in the dream, you'll see golden mountain. But in reality, there's nothing called golden mountain. Right? So it manufactures impressions that you have never even seen before. And you start thinking it is reality. So the mind is a very dangerous thing. And it will tell you so many stories. If you do this, you'll get this. If you do this, you will get this. That's why Shastra, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Manorata Upagata. Means our mind is like a rata, chariot. Mano means mind. So we have to basically understand this chariot which keeps on running here and there. So it's not a easy thing. People are just doing things on a spur of moment in the modern world. But we are not supposed to do like that. It will cause a lot of distress later in life.
So even for people who couldn't get out from the addiction is because of mind, right? Even if they try to, but
Yes. Actually, there is a slide. This is a 98 slide deck. Maybe we have to cover part of it next week. Towards the end, I have a slide on the addiction where the Suhotra Swami talks about that. He's a very interesting personality. He's like a more scientific quantum mechanics type of guy who became a devotee and he became a sannyasi. So he has analyzed this topic very nicely. Addiction, yeah, addiction is one of those dimensions. Addiction will, because the mind is unable to pull the mind out of its rut.
right.
And de-addiction camps in America are so expensive. You have to spend like $35,000 to get de-addicted from anything. So better not to get addicted to anything in the first place, right? And any movie that you'll see, any TV show that you see, we have seen hundreds of TV shows, right? All of those things have formed impressions in your mind. And there is this cognitive process where it is mixing these images and it is giving you new ideas, most of which may not be true, but it will confuse you. So we are all crazy. Somebody is crazy 2%, somebody is crazy 3%. But we take somebody who is more than 50% crazy and throw them into a mental hospital. But technically, we are all crazy because our perception of the world is never 100% true. It may be 98% true, 90% true, 87% like that. And you see this at work. Two people are arguing, both of them are wrong. So both of them are arguing on a concept which is wrong, which has been proved wrong by somebody already. That's why it is better to go ask seniors, have you tried this before? If not, then let's give it an experimental shot. So yeah, I mean, basic linear processes, neural networks can very nicely imitate. Now they are even creating images of Mona Lisa, right? They took the Mona Lisa picture from various angles. They gave it to generative adversarial networks, and they're able to actually create simulated images of Mona Lisa. So that part is easy, very easy. But this second part, how hidden things come from, that nobody has figured out why it is doing. So we have to be very careful. Don't trust your mind fully. Better to trust scriptures because mind will confuse you and make you take birth again. Better to follow the scriptural knowledge. Okay, Gayatri, read this.
As you contemplate the mind's show, new desires are generated out of the mind's contemplation of the mind. Therefore, it is often said that the mind produces unlimited desires. Maya manaha srajati karmamyam baliyaha kalena chodita gunanu matena pumshaha chandomayam yat ajayaprita sodasaram samsara chakram majako titajatvad anyaha. O Lord, O Supreme Eternal, by expanding your plenary portion, you have created the subtle bodies of the living entities through the agency of your external energy, which is agitated by time. Thus, just the mind entraps the living entity in unlimited varieties of desires to be fulfilled by the varied directions of karma kanda, fruitive activity, and the 16 elements. Who can get free from this entanglement unless he takes shelter at your lotus feet?
Yeah. So the mind is entrapping, means it is trapping us. Unlimited number of desires, right? So how can you fight with somebody who is giving you 100,000 desires? Right? If it is one or two desire, you can say, okay, I don't need it. Like 24/7 desires keep on coming from this thing called the mind. Right? And then there is a mechanism called karma kanda. Means instead of, like, for example, if somebody wants to have sex, they are asked to get married. Then at least it is disciplined, right? So there are directions within karma kanda to enjoy this material world. But then whenever you enjoy the material world, you become entangled. Means you get more, you're just like, in a what is it called, swamp. If you go into the swamp and you're stuck, if you try to free yourself, you're actually going down and down. So you should not move. You should ask somebody to put a rope from top and pull you out. Otherwise, you'll go deeper and deeper. So we are going deeper and deeper in this process by doing more karma kanda. I mean, karma kanda means legitimate. So you can enjoy two ways. One is in a bad way. Second is in a good way. So marrying and having sex is a good way. Not marrying and doing some hanky panky, that is bad way. Right? So it'll give you the Vedic directions, but you're still getting entangled. You're getting sunk and sunk and sunk. So basically, best thing is take shelter of Lord's lotus feet. Means take shelter of the Lord. Krishna, I have nobody else in this material world. You are everything to me. I will follow your instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. And end of life, I'll come to you. And if you don't follow, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam. You'll take birth again. Guaranteed, 100%. Shankaracharya says, Ramanujacharya says, everybody says that. Prabhupada says, Madhvacharya says. So Prabhupada actually comes in the Madhvacharya Sampradaya. So Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. Brahma is the head of our parampara. Chaturmukha Brahma means four-headed Brahma who created this material world. And if you tell this to an average person on the street, right, they say, what? They're only on animalistic platform. They're just looking for, if they have some money, they'll buy some Budweiser, drink, and go to sleep. Because the brain cannot work. Average person is no better than an animal on this planet. So we have to get out of that cycle and come to the spiritual level. Otherwise,
It seems something is happening in the malls of Bellevue Square and Seattle. Some fight is happening.
yeah, so many people are burning down buildings. They are looting. They are going into stores, looting all the designer clothes. So
Right now,
don't think,
something.
when you came to America, you thought America was a great country, right?
No.
No. Actually, most people think America is a great country, but when you see the behavior,
I thought
different than
I don't know whether it's actually opted for me or not. I don't know why I came here. I thought like that, then only I came here.
Yeah. So, like, when I was young, I used to see movies about Beirut, Lebanon. Then we saw BBC, where in the Gaza Strip, the Israelis and Palestinians are burning each other's cars and things like that. Now America became like that in one lifetime, right? So what can I say? Yeah, Bellevue, it's happening. It's happening in Seattle. It's happening everywhere because of uncontrolled mind. So we have to take shelter of the Lord, and we have to teach others to take shelter of the Lord, right? It's not like we should be selfish. We should learn this knowledge and help other people so that the world doesn't go into downward spiral. But first we have to fix ourselves. Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Janma Sardhaka karo paropakar. So to do paropakar means help others. First you have to take care of yourself. Janma Sardhaka karo. If you go to a doctor and the doctor is coughing, will you go to that doctor again? First, doctor should fix himself. He should be healthy so that he can fix other people's health. Right? So we should fix ourselves first and help other people. That should be the goal of life. And when you are helping other people, Krishna will be pleased with you. He'll say, here is a soul who is helping other people. That's why I'm doing this class. I know something, I'm helping other people. Only 4 people, that's okay. These 4 people will teach another 4 people, like that. So eventually we can, save the world. Okay, Chandra, continue.
Competition between positive and negative thoughts. Good dog versus bad dog. American Indian saying. Basically, there are 2 sides to gaining control of the mind. One is positive and another is negative. The negative aspect consists of rules, restrictions, and mechanical exercises that close off the channel to lower material consciousness. The positive aspect opens up the channel of higher consciousness that lets the soul back home, back to Godhead. Opening this channel means contemplating transcendental subject matter plus occupying the senses with varieties of devotional service.
Yeah. So let's not talk about negative channel. We are seeing too much of that. So what is the positive channel? There is something called a positive channel where we elevate our consciousness and then take the soul back home, back to Godhead. So when they say back home means what? Our home is not this. Our home is there. And we need to go back home. And through varieties of devotional service. Devotion means you are praying to the Lord. Service means seva. You are serving the Lord. How do you serve the Lord? Through hearing classes like this. This is service, Shravanam. Through chanting, which we will do in a few minutes, Kirtanam. Then Vishnu Smaranam. Smaranam means remembering. So Vishnu, Lord Vishnu or Krishna is already in your heart. You have to just uncover. You have to take the curtain off. Then he will start talking to you. So Shravanam leads to Kirtanam. Kirtanam leads to Vishnu Smaranam. So this is the process actually. It's a very scientific process. More scientific than your physics textbook actually. It will take you step-by-step process. Okay, Chandra, continue.
Mind contaminated by material attraction has to be concentrated on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The general yoga process entails observing the rules and regulations, practicing the different sitting postures, concentrating the mind on the vital circulation of the air, and then thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Vaikuntha pastimes. This is the general process of yoga. This same concentration can be achieved by other recommended processes, and therefore anyas cha, other methods also can be applied. The essential point is that the mind which is contaminated by material attraction has to be bridled and concentrated on the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So mind is contaminated by material attraction, right? Every one of us is attracted to our car, house, this, that. So you have to shift it. That's it. Krishna consciousness means shifting your mind from material to spiritual. So if you are in a C++, you have a pointer. Pointer is pointing to one location in the linked list. You take it and point to a different location in the linked list. That's it. Shift focus. It is difficult, but it is possible, right? So we have to shift the focus from matter to spirit. In this case, spirit means the super spirit or Krishna, Param Atma. Atma means spirit, Param means super. Param, super spirit or super soul. That's all we are doing. So this is theory. Now, how do you do it in practice? By more reading Bhagavad Gita, by more chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, by giving up bad habits like eating meat, drinking alcohol, engaging in illicit hanky-panky outside of marriage, gambling. So when you do these 4 things, your progress will be much faster, like 100 times faster. Otherwise, what you'll do, you'll be chanting on one side and then you'll be doing bad things on the other side. It is like, there is a fire. On one side, you're pouring water, other side, you're pouring petrol. What will happen? Fire will never stop, right? So while you are pouring water, you should stop pouring petrol, doing bad things. So then progress will be very, very fast. In one lifetime, you can become a sage. Actually, there is a saying, become a sage page by page. Just by reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day, page by page, you can become a sage. So if you don't have Srimad Bhagavatam, you should, get it from us, from our temple. There is a token donation. Srimad Bhagavatam is $250. It has got 18 books, comes in a big box. But you'll spend the remaining 40 years of your life reading every day. Become a sage, page by page. So if you don't have Srimad Bhagavatam, you should get it. It's the best investment of your life. You must have spent like $20,000 buying a car. But this is better than the car. Car will only take you from office to home or to Walmart. This will take you back to the spiritual world. So it's a much better investment, actually. I got mine 8 years ago. I am right now in 8th canto, total 12 cantos. So it will take a long time. It will take at least 10 years to read that entire set. Okay. So Karthik and Gayatri, do you have Srimad Bhagavatam at home?
We have Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam is one step higher.
Yeah.
Big box of 18 books. It will take 30 years to read, not 1 day, 1 year. So you should get that. I mean, I know you're working in tech sector, you can afford this kind of books. So you should invest in that. It's an investment. It will give you return. It's not just a wasted effort. So tell me when you want it. We can take a check from you, or you can do PayPal, and you can get this. And same applies to Chandar also. Invest in this book. You will not regret it. And every day, as you read it, you become purified, like that. Okay. Chandar, continue.
Practice discriminating between the self and the mind. We must come to the point of discriminating between the self and the mind. Mesmerizing the technical details of Shastra is not enough to do that. Mechanical repetition of rituals is not enough to do that. We need to enact the transcendental level of our existence. This is so because the self is by nature pure spiritual energy. We are spirit soul, and so the non-material force innate to the real self must be initialized. By the mercy of a pure devotee, you can rise to the transcendental level and catch a glimpse of your true nature. This is initiation, the entry point into your Swarupa or original identity.
Yeah, this is the process of initiation. So we need the kripa of a pure devotee. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tadviddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tasvadarshinaha. Means with proper viddhi and proper pranipat, means humility, you should approach a spiritual master. And what is the spiritual master? And then how do you approach him? With seva. Pariprashnena sevaya. You should ask questions. Who am I? Amike. Who am I? I am a soul suffering in this material world. And how should I elevate myself? Right? Upadekshanti te jnanam. Jnaninas Tattva Darshinaha. So that spiritual master will give you jnana. That's what's happening. Right now we are reading from Srila Prabhupada's books, who is a spiritual master, and he has initiated a number of people, and those gurus are now initiating other people. Initiation means formal connection. Just like, when you put your plug point on the wall and you are charging your iPhone, how is the electricity coming into the plug point? Where is it coming from? Does your bedroom wall automatically have electricity in it?
No, from an external main source.
Yeah. So what is that external source? It's called a power station, right?
Yeah, power grid.
Power station, it goes through transmission lines. From transmission lines, it comes to substation, where there is a step down transformer, which will convert it from 430 volts to 220 volts. And then from the step down transformer, it further step down to 110 volts through your local underground cables or overhead cables. Then when you constructed your building, the fellow had a junction box. From there, you put wiring to your bedroom. And then therefore, when you just plug your plug point into that wall, you are able to charge your phone. There's so much infrastructure, millions of dollars of investment, so that you can charge your phone. And you are paying monthly something like $100, $150 to amortize that investment. Similarly, the power source is Sri Krishna himself, and his power comes through the Acharya Parampara. So Krishna gives this knowledge to Brahma, Brahma gives this to Narada Muni. In this way, it is coming to Prabhupada, from him, his disciples, and from that disciple, you will get that. And after 30, 40 years of practice, you yourself will be qualified to become a guru. Right now, I'm in the process of qualifying myself to become a guru, right? I'm teaching a small group of people. Over a period of time, I'll teach larger groups of people like that. So how do you become a guru? By following sincerely from a guru. And then over a period of 30 years, you yourself will become a guru. It's guaranteed. If you follow it properly. If you are careless or do it for some time and then say this is pretty boring, I won't do it, then you won't become one. And each one of you should also become a guru, because then you will transmit this knowledge to the next generation. Otherwise, knowledge will be cut, right? Suppose I have a round robin of people. So I give sugar to my neighbor in a packet. That neighbor gives the packet of sugar to his neighbor. It's a round robin, right? Going round. But some fellow, he will swap the sugar with salt. And by the time it comes back to a different person in that round robin, now is it sugar anymore in that packet? No. So what happened? Somebody added masala. Somebody added their own opinions and thoughts. Then it is a broken parampara. So when parampara was broken, Lord Krishna descended 5,000 years ago to re-establish this parampara. Right? Why does the Lord descend periodically? Why does he have so many avatars? Because whenever parampara is broken, the Lord himself comes to fix this process. When people become so crazy, like we are seeing in the modern world, the Lord just came 5,000 years ago and he gave this knowledge to re-establish that parampara. On what does he like, what does he not like. Right? How do we know what Krishna likes? What is the best way to know what he likes? You should ask him, right? If I want to know whether Chandar likes Rasgulla or Gulab Jamun, how do I know? I have no idea. Then I should say, Chandar, which one do you like? Same thing. If you want to know what Krishna likes, you have to inquire from his book. So that is the reason we read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, all these literatures. These are not storybooks. You are directly talking to God when you are reading Bhagavad Gita. You are saying, God, I don't know what you like. Can you tell me? And the God will say, yes, man mana bhava mad bhakto. Always think of me in your heart. Like that. Then we say, okay, now since Krishna likes that, let me do chanting. What is chanting, by the way? Anybody? What is chanting? If I say Chandar, 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 what am I saying? I'm calling Chandar, right? Same thing. When you're chanting, you're calling God. You're calling God. You're training your mind to always think of God. So that at the time of death, because we have thought about God every day, at the time of death also we'll think of Him and we'll go back to Him. If I say Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, not much benefit. Right now, people are saying so many things, right? If you open a TV, switch on the TV, people are talking about this, that continuously. But those material sounds have no benefit. But the spiritual sound, when the name of God has benefit, because there is a person behind that name and that person will respond. Whereas if you can chant Coca-Cola for the next 30 years, but a bottle of Coca-Cola will not come in front of you automatically. Your wife may say, oh, my husband has gone crazy for Coca-Cola, so let me buy one Coke, and while he's not watching, I'll put in front of him. But naturally, it won't happen. Coca-Cola won't come in front of you. But when we chant Hare Krishna, the Krishna's God's names, God will actually manifest. Okay, so with that, let's chant. Repeat after me. Sri Krishna Chaitanya